Good morning. I'd like to call the Kankakee County Full Board meeting for June 13th to order. Today's invocation is from Ray Fairfield.
Pray with me. Gracious Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day that you have provided. Thank you for allowing us to assemble here to discuss the business of the people of Kankakee County. I ask that you give us all present here today the ability to discuss county business in a way we will hold the welfare of those citizens we represent. Please give us discernment while we discuss county business. Keep in mind that we need to listen and consider opinions that do not agree with ours. I ask that you give us guidance and also the strength to make those tough decisions that are right, even when there are times of compassionate opposition. Also want to remember those who serve in our community every day, such as police, fire, medical, and social services. Please watch out and protect them and their families. Give their families comfort when they are performing their duties and serving their community. Please watch out and protect our military personnel and their families while they serve and protect this country and hold their love.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we do a roll call, I'd like to, on behalf of, I guess, of the board, extend our condolences out to Kathleen Rittman-Nakemi and their families. They lost a family member, so I'll let her talk about that personally with anybody in her own way. But I can tell you that it's never easy, and we know that. So please, roll call.
Mr. Hess, Mr. Tholen, Mrs. Polk,
Present.
Mr. Snipes, Mr. Seroy,
Present.
Mrs. Weber,
Present.
Mrs. Parker,
Present.
Mr. Fairfield,
Present.
Mr. Carrico,
Present.
Mr. Eckhoff,
Present.
Mr. Swanson,
Present.
Mr. Featherling,
Here.
Mr. Dunnell,
Present.
Mr. Miller,
Present.
Mr. Long,
Present.
Mr. Kirkstra,
Present.
Mr. Hunter, Mr. Smith,
Present.
Mr. Alexander Hildebrand,
Present.
Ms. Foster,
Present.
Ms. Andrade,
Present.
Ms. Armour Earps, Mr. Ashcraft,
Present.
Ms. Monday,
Present.
Ms. Rittman-Nakemi, Mr. Scanlon,
Present.
Ms. Turner,
Present.
Mr. Wheeler.
Present.
We have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Let's see here. Under public comment, the first one is Araceli Sharper from Essex. Please get the microphone back over here.
Hi, good morning. Is it on? Am I good?
You're good.
All right.
Yep.
Okay, my name's Araceli Sharper. I'm from Essex. I'm a business owner there. I'm a mother of four, wife to a union man, and a small business owner. What I'm here for is to thank all of you guys. I do not know who all was involved in this, but we've had a problem in Essex with our main street, not only with the road conditions, but also a flooding issue for all of our small businesses. And recently that was all fixed, and I really do want to thank every single one of you guys. I love it when everyone comes together to make things happen, right? Left or right or in the middle, we're in this together. And I really do appreciate it. It made a huge difference, and a lot of the members in Essex are very excited. And we do have a lot of people that come in from out of town for leisure activities with the clubs and golfing and whatnot. So they're very appreciative of that too, especially since it's been raining for 2 days now and there's no flooding in front of our restaurants. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. And that was Mr. Scanlon who brought that to us to start off with. So yeah, it was everybody working together, and that's what this is about. Yeah. Next up is Greg St. Aubin from Mantino.
Hey, Chairman Wheeler, Greg St. Aubin, President of the Kankakee County Farm Bureau. On April 11th, this board passed a resolution being allies in agriculture, and today I'm here to thank this board and thank you in particular, Chairman Wheeler. And I have this plaque to present to you for being allies in agriculture, and all of you should have, on the board, should have received a lapel pin for your opportunity to be a supporter in agriculture. Can I present this plaque to you?
Please, yes, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Set this over here right now. A second. Great. Thank you for the honor. The board takes agribusiness and the farmer very seriously in this county. And it's always in the back of our mind on the actions we take, especially obviously in the rural area, I guess embodying that support in the policy that we put out there. So next up, we don't have any more public comment. No vacancy, presentations, proclamations. The certificates of appreciation, Joseph Hernandez in corrections, Christopher Larson of corrections, both 10 years. Have Carrie Stewart from the State's Attorney's Office, Matthew Roberts from corrections, and they were at 15 years, 20 years. Deborah Davis, circuit clerk. Looks like Siobhan Franklin from the circuit clerk, Jeremy Most from corrections, Russell Belcher from the Sheriff's Department. Are you going to present, Sheriff? All right. Let me help you dig one out there. Russell Belcher.
Well, thank you. Good morning. It's certainly my pleasure to introduce you to Sergeant Russ Belcher of the Sheriff's Department, who has been here now 20 years. Russ has done numerous things within our department. He actually came to us from the Illinois Department of Corrections way back. He is the current leader of our SWAT team, which is utilized countywide and does a great job as the commander of our SWAT team. We're honored to have him. We're glad we have him. He does a great job for us, and 20 years is quite an accomplishment. We hope to have him for a lot longer, but that's up to him. Thanks, Russ. Sorry, Craig.
And let's see, Barbara Dyer, don't believe is here as well.
So a couple things with corrections. Some of those people, some of those names are working midnights, and I'm sure at 9 o'clock they're home sleeping. Some are actually working now in the jail. It's just difficult for them to get away with the things they're doing. So
Right.
I know they appreciate it.
Yep. We can go there and see them if you want. No, I'm just, you have to earn your way in though, I think. With Barbara Dyer was another one, and I'm gonna save one till last, but Chad Gessner from the Sheriff's Department at 25 years.
So most of you know Chad. I can't put it any more eloquently than Mr. Searoy's did before we started today. Chad actually started in our jail almost in kindergarten, Mr. Hunter, right out of high school, which certainly is a tough job for anybody. He holds the position of undersheriff right now, but he has done just about everything within our department, whether it's KMEG, whether it's a Major Crimes Task Force, whether it's EMA, where our emergency services, where he's gone through a couple huge issues. If you remember the flooding that we had a few years ago, he was instrumental in making sure that victims of those floods were getting the adequate resources and money after the fact. He is a valuable member of our department. I think he's trying to stay as long as his father.
35 years left.
And he is correct when he did start in corrections first, but 25 years as a deputy. And I'm honored to present him with a certificate for 25 years.
Yeah, yep, you're done. Thank you. So the last one is the eye in the sky, the man behind the technology, someone who reminds people that in order for a computer to work, it has to be turned on. He does get those phone calls. So I thought maybe we could thank Jason Shane from IT by just looking for a video camera and saying thanks, Jason, because he's the reason that this makes it out into the public. And, we would be lost without you. Actually, I appreciate it very much. Minutes of the last meeting, May 9th, 2023. Is there a motion on that? Mr. Scanlon, second. Mr. Long, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. If I could, before we get into Claims Committee report, could I get a motion to move up the labor agreement from the Local 150 operating engineers to the beginning? Mr. Smith, Mr. Eckhoff with a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All righty. So we'll be considering that. If we can get maybe the title read in the record, and then
Authorizing the County Board Chairman to sign the Highway Department's collective bargaining agreement on behalf of employer Kankakee County, Illinois, with the International Union of Operating Engineers, Local 150.
all righty. And as far as the negotiating team, Mr. Eckhoff with a motion and a second. Second. With Mr. Alexander Hildebrand. And we have Mike Kuzwara is here, our attorney that helped with this, and Anita. They can answer any questions, but if there's we went through finance with this. Mr. Eckhoff, did you have anything to say about the process or the actual numbers? Oh, sorry, you want a microphone on? Yeah, sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to go ahead and say thank you to Anita, Mike, Joanne, everybody that went ahead and helped the negotiating team. This is a fair deal, and this is a great deal for both sides. It's 3 years, 10%, but it's good. So we did a good job, and it took a little longer than expected, but it was a good deal, and it's a fair deal.
Any other comments, questions? Mike is here, Kuzwara is to answer any of those, and Anita as well. But I think that encapsulated, obviously it's not 10% per year. Correct. Okay, just want to clarify that so everybody can start, breathing again.
433.
Yeah, 433. So we have a motion and a second. So I just want to make sure that there's any questions, anything out there. Roll call vote then.
Mrs. Polk.
Aye.
Mr. Snipes.
Aye.
Mr. Seroy.
Aye.
Mrs. Weber.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Fairfield.
Aye.
Mr. Kirko.
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Donnell.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long. Aye. Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Andrade.
Aye.
Ms. Armour Earps.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Aye.
Ms. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. So thank you so much for that in adjusting the agenda so we can, Mr. Kuzwara can take off if he needs to. Let's see here. Next up on the agenda was the Claims Committee, I believe, correct? Yeah, Claims Committee.
Mr. Chairman, county claims for the month of April 2023, total of $9,398,573.68.
Alrighty, motion on claims. Mr. Eckhoff, is there a second on for claims? Mr. Fairfield. Any questions? Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Polk.
Aye.
Mr. Snipes.
Aye.
Mr. Seroy.
Aye.
Mrs. Weber.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Fairfield.
Aye.
Mr. Kirko.
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Donnell.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Andrade.
Aye.
Ms. Armour Erps.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Aye.
Ms. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon.
Aye.
Ms. Turner. Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Under department reports, please.
County Collector's Monthly Report for April 2023. Total cash and bank and investments of $1,440,093.05. County Treasurer's Monthly Report for April 2023. Tax operating account of First American Bank, the ending balance is $1,297,973.18. Tax collection account at First American Bank, the ending balance is $337.85. The tax e-pay account at First American Bank, the ending balance is $141,782.02. Coroner's,
Oh, sorry.
Coroner's Monthly Report for April 2023. Total calls 113, coroner's cases 15, autopsies 4, toxicology 4, 3 fetal, 63 hospice, 32 referrals, 63 cremations, 3 x-rays, 1 outside x-ray, 1 pending. Coroner's income report for April 2023, total of $3,482.06. Circuit clerk cash book for month ending April 2023, total dispersed of $319,067.80. Recorder's monthly report for April 2023, disbursement fees paid to the county treasurer of $143,656.77. County clerk's monthly report for April 2023, total of $26,131.21. Monthly building division report for April 2023, total permits of 86, total fees of $43,411. Animal control monthly report for April 2023, total of $45,834.06. The IPTIP building fund, $877.05. Total animals handled, 92. And the monthly resolution list total to the county of $12,833.46.
Alrighty. Did I get a motion? Can I get a motion to approve? I apologize. Mr. Dunnell, second. Mr. Swanson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. On consent agenda, anything that needs to come off and be considered separately? There's a lot of them, so I just want to make sure you have time to go through. And we'll go a second time. Anything that needs to come off and be considered separately. Alrighty, is there a motion to combine and approve? Mr. Hunter, Mr. Ashcraft with a second. If we could get the titles read in the record, please.
The appointment of Brian Porter to the Kankakee County Zoning Board of Appeals. The reappointment of Elizabeth Scanlon to the Kankakee County Zoning Board of Appeals. The reappointment of Joey Baud to the Greater Momence Fire Protection District. The reappointment of Dwayne Hull to the Otto Township Fire Protection District. The reappointment of Paul Grieslak to the Bourbonnais Fire Protection District. The reappointment of Alice Argelian to the Bourbonnais Fire Protection District. The reappointment of Joseph Kane to the Board of Review. The reappointment of Mark Keener to the Board of Review. The reappointment of Joe Swanson to the University of Illinois Extension. The reappointment of Lori Gadboy to the Kankakee County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Declaration of Planning Department equipment as surplus property. Declaration and disposal of surplus equipment and vehicles for the Kankakee County Sheriff's Department. Authorizing the county board chairman or designee to enter into an agreement with Cintas to provide uniforms and mats. Agreement to approve decommissioning plan and bond in the amount of $278,390 for Peterman Solar LLC project. Agreement to approve decommissioning plan and bond in the amount of $293,770 for the McGee Solar LLC project. Resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign an engineering agreement with Hampton, Lanzini, and Renwick Incorporated and appropriate motor fuel tax funds to design a bridge replacement on County Highway 13 in Momence Township. Resolution authorizing the county board chairman to sign an engineering agreement with Hampton, Lanzini, and Renwick and appropriate motor fuel tax funds to design a bridge replacement on County Highway 14 in Momence Township. Concurring resolution and authorizing the county board chairman or designee to enter into an aggregation program for electric load.
Just one correction, it's right in the packet. Dan mentioned that amount was $293,770.
$777.
It's $777. Just it's $7, but let's just making it right. Get it together. Just kidding. The guy's amazing. So we had a motion to combine and approve. We have to do a roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Polk.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Snipes. Mr. Seroy.
Aye.
Mrs. Weber.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Fairfield.
Aye.
Mr. Kirko. Mr. Eckhoff.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Dunhill.
Aye.
Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Andrade.
Aye.
Ms. Armour Earps.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Aye.
Ms. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Moving on to the ZBA case 23-07. If we can get the title read in the record while Dell comes up.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County regarding ZBA Case 2307, variance to Section 121-281.c, location of accessory structure pool in Section 25 of Limestone Township.
On this one, I'd like to get a motion to start with. Mr. Long to approve, Ms. Polk for the second. All right, Dell?
Michael Brown and Christina Spennard own the property outlined in red, which is 1805 West Tower Road. It's a corner lot. They would like to install an above-ground pool. The county's ordinance requires that all swimming pools be in the rear yard. This property doesn't have a rear yard, so they would like a variance to place the swimming pool in the side yard right about at the end of that white arrow there. Zoning board heard the case and voted 6-0 to recommend approval, and planning and zoning recommends approval as well.
Alrighty, is there any questions about this from the standpoint, Mr. Long? or comments, yeah. There you go.
This is part of the unfinished part of Vondale Meadows subdivision. And as you can see in the photograph, there is no backyard for this family to have their pool. So it's the next logical location for them to have it. It seems appropriate to me.
Yes, if you look at this property and the one behind it, those two side yards technically function as their rear yards.
Mm-hmm. Yes, Mr. Seroy.
Motion to approve. Hurry up. It's almost, pool season's almost over.
You're out of order, sir. There already is a motion on the floor. Mr. Hunter, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just, Mr. Long, when is the pool party?
I don't know, you'll have to ask them.
Was that Caddyshack? You had a pool in the pond? Pond is good for you?
Yeah.
So I guess one question I have, I guess from if we see one of these again, does the situation change if this is a very busy road and it's a deeper look at this? I mean, because this is a side road. I think I know where I'm going to vote, but I'm just curious as far as the board goes. Does it change if it was a busy road?
It certainly could. I mean, every variance, that's why we have the variance process. You have to take it on its own merits.
Okay.
And the road out front would certainly be one of those items that you would be looking at.
Okay.
The configuration of the lot, placement of the house on the lot. There's a lot of things. I mean, in this case, they're avoiding their septic and well. If their septic or well was there, that would be a problem. If there was an easement there, that would also be a problem.
Sure.
But that's all vetted at the zoning board level.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, sir, Mr. Long.
Just in this specific case, that road goes nowhere. It goes to their driveway. It does not go into the subdivision. It was never finished. It's like 500 feet long.
Actually, no. This is right at the corner at the entrance to Vondale Meadows.
Right.
So that road goes all the way back to the end of Vondale, but it still goes nowhere.
Right. Yeah. So we're both right. All right. Thank you. Sorry. Yes, Ms. Armour Herbs.
I'm sure they went through the process of getting all their neighbors' approval for the pool.
Neighbors' approval is not required. They do have to notify the neighbors.
Okay.
No one showed up at the
complained.
hearing.
Okay, that's what I want to know.
Any other questions? All righty. All those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Alrighty, the next one, please.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois regarding ZBA case 23-08, rezoning from A1 Agriculture District to RE Rural Estate District and variance to section 121-148.d, lot size in section 11 of Janir Township.
Is there a motion to approve on this one? Mr. Eckhoff, a second. Ms. Parker? No?
Ms. Haley Mars, the current owner of these two properties, her grandfather, back around 1995, created these two lots. Exactly how that occurred, I'm not sure. But at that time, it was a Plat Act violation because you can only have one parcel out of the original farm that's less than 5 acres, and both of these are much smaller than that, about a third of an acre each. One did contain a home. Miss Mars has inherited these two properties. She's removed the house. It was dilapidated and was not worth fixing. She would like to combine the two lots into one parcel, which would clear up the Plat Act violation and build a new home on the property. In order to do that, she needs to be rezoned to rural estate because of the size of the property, and a lot size variance because in that district you need 1 acre, and both lots combined comes out to about 3/4 of an acre. Zoning board voted 6-0 to recommend, and planning and zoning also recommends approval.
Alrighty, any questions about this? Any indication of why in 95 Plat Act existed?
It did, but we didn't really have a plat officer that was watching these things.
Okay.
Okay, we do now. But yeah, every meets and bounds split that comes through the recorder's office, we get to sign off on it.
Okay.
In 95, I don't think we had that, so it got recorded, lot was created, no regard to zoning or the Plat Act.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And so we may have more of these to clean up as time goes on.
We see them a lot, yes.
Any questions for Dell, please? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Moving on to finance, 162, I guess. We need that read in the record.
Resolution of the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois regarding approval of the 2022 Comprehensive Annual Financial Report prepared by outside auditors Smith, Kelling, Dykstra, and Ohm.
Is there a motion to approve the audit, please? We'll go, let's see if we can go, yes, Ms. Monday, Mr. Eckhoff with a second. Just going to try to share the wealth. Mr. McCarty, please.
Good morning. I just wanted to highlight a few things in this annual report. Some of the good news in there, specifically general fund related. Kelly, you can go to the next. Some of the number of the general fund revenues came in substantially higher than projected. One of the reasons that they were higher, in finance we discussed a few of them adjusting from where they were, specifically use tax and PPRT tax. Those adjustments have shown up this year and not last year, so that was a good thing for fiscal year 22. And expenses came within 150,000 of the 34.9 million projected. So between those two factors, we have the highest general fund balance on record that I'm aware of at 8.5 million, and equally strong fund balances in the tort and pension funds. And just a side note, in the year-end report, the general fund and tort are combined in that report, and they total 11.2 million fund balance. You'll see in the report, but they're combined. So very strong financials. You can flip to the next one. What does that mean for current year, fiscal year 23, and as we look into fiscal year 24? As we discussed and budgeted for, we are fully paying off the court system bonds, which is series 2009. The first half of the remaining balance this year in 2023, and the second half in 2024. That total paying off is 1.6 million. We're also discussing to abate and fully pay off the remaining debt balances for series 2011, 2012, and 2012A in fiscal year 2024, which are the jail and morgue bonds. Those totals are 1.4 million. So the combined debt payoff total will be 3 million for fiscal year 23 and 2024, which means the county and county taxpayers will be debt free, except for the new animal control building and that project.
Yeah, the animal control building is the only thing that's sitting out there, but remember that's being paid for with the fees and the tags basically from animal control, so it's self-supporting. Taxpayers aren't paying for that. So we're looking at the end of 24 being debt free, and where we were in 16 going into 17, people that were here know we were thinking at best we could say that in 2035. I'm serious. I'm not kidding. It was that bad. So any questions about the audit? You know, the way it's put together is a little bit different. So we put it in your packet electronically because, what is it, 150 pages or something? But I don't think it should be lost on this board that we had increase in revenues, but our expenses stayed where we predicted they would be. That's a key, because if you have more revenue, and the work at the Sheriff's Department is just amazing. What they've done, and I tell people this a lot, that they don't quite get it, because other counties, their revenue comes from other places. Here, sure, public safety, meaning sheriff, state's attorney, everybody, is 80% of what we spend. And really nowhere else does 80% of revenue come from that same area, if you look at it. So we're talking, it's a very substantial partnership. We couldn't manage it if we didn't have it, and I keep saying that over and over again. So we've shifted as the seas and the sands have shifted throughout what the state has done with us, for us, to us. And so I thank everybody out there for what they've done at the Sheriff's Department, but also the people in this room who actually, the hardest part is not saying no. The hardest part is figuring out what to say yes to. And that's when you finally get back in the land of the living financially. So is any questions for Steve, Mr. Hunter?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. If I could, kudos on this audit results, but could you and Steve speak to your interface with Moody's?
We'll have a full report. We have a follow-up call with them Thursday. Yeah, which is it's usually not that quick. So it's, I don't know if that's a good thing, you know, like with the jury, or a bad thing. So, but you know, I will say that we answered the questions that they had, and I had a very positive feeling leaving that call that we are already out of speculative. I don't know if people remember that we were junk bonds when we started this, and then we got into a lower prime area, and I would expect that we would go up another notch as high as you can go. But that's just me based on what we've done. Steve, I mean, I'm not, you just don't know. They may say we want to see another year. Well, I think they've seen another year for a few years, is what I'm getting at. The big weight, I think, for Moody's was seeing how we respond to the change in ICE detention in the state of Illinois. I think they wanted to see that we'd be able to adapt either on the expense or the revenue side, and we kind of did on both. So, would you agree, Steve? Yeah. That was the wait and see, I think. But again, they don't tell you that. They just give you a rating. So this month's finance will come back with a bond rating that I would, much like a credit score, it affects your interest rates on everything you do. So is that good, Steve? All right.
Yep.
Anything else? We got roll call vote then.
Mrs. Polk.
Aye.
Mr. Snipes.
Aye.
Mr. Seroy.
Aye.
Mrs. Weber.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker.
Aye.
Mr. Fairfield.
Aye.
Mr. Kirko.
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Dunhill. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Andrade.
Aye.
Ms. Armour Earps.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon.
Aye.
Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Thanks, Steve. And thank your staff for the transitional work that you had to do. Obviously, I think the board knows we had some employees migrate elsewhere. We're happy for them, but they did it at That was a time that was good for them, but really bad for the department because we're going through an audit. So they stayed, they helped, and I appreciate all their efforts. It wasn't easy though. This year was stressful in a whole different kind of way. Moving on to the ARPA lost revenue consent part of the agenda for Fund 90. Could we have this read in the record, the first line, please? 163.
Authorizing expenditure for fiscal year 2023, Fund number 98, America Rescue Lost Revenue Fund, to Kankakee County Clerk for voting booths.
Is there a motion to approve on that one? Ms. Parker, second. Mr. Miller. Who asked for this? Funds? Who? Oh, no, our voting booths. Quickly, we're kind of beat up, to say the least.
The voting booths that we've been using since punch card days, so roughly 1990. So a lot of them have been very weathered, pretty beaten. The plastic pieces that hold the booth up, you've seen plastic after 30 years, you know it gets very fragile, very brittle. The legs are held together with bungee cords, and bungee cords after 30 years lose a lot of their elasticity as well. So, you know, I think we've gotten every penny out of those booths that we could, and I think if money's available, we would like to pursue purchasing new voting booths.
Yeah, I mean, the motion for bungee cords, yeah, for Mr. Scanlon, clearly stating what needed to be said. No, this is the time, if we have it, to invest in, because we would hope these would last another 30 years.
As long as I'm gone before you have to replace them again.
Sound like a cry for help. So is no more questions about the booths? Okay, we're gonna obviously do a voice vote, and then we'll do a roll call at the end. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Title of the next one, please.
Authorizing expenditure from fiscal year 2023, Fund 98, America Rescue Lost Revenue Fund, to Limestone Fire Protection District for grapple hook boat repair.
Yeah, agenda has a typo, but it's probably not in the resolution. Yeah, it's the newest village in Kankakee County, Limestone. So is there a motion to approve on this one here? Ms. Monday with Mr. Scanlon with a second. Both of these came with the recommendation of the review team. This one is not for a rescue boat, it's for the other kind of boat. As we mentioned, you know, what goes down to Limestone when there's an accident on the river is usually not a saving mission, it's a recovery mission, and they need that boat down there. You know, if we're lucky, it's a saving mission, but usually it's recovery. So that's what this boat is for, and it's an investment that really is for all the fire districts and rescue along the river. So if there's no more questions, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Last one. Before we get the motion to approve on this one, I hope, I would ask that it comes with a subtraction of $10,000, and here's the reason why. The motion would be for $176,965. Is because the first event that the KCCSI was going to hold, we were going to use as a evaluation tool to see if we were going to fund the others going forward. Well, they had one. It was paid for by a different sponsor, so we're going to use that one as the opportunity. We may bring back the 10 grand later for another one of those events, but we are going to wait and take a look and see at the participation, all the other everything surrounding their first seminar event, and then we would allocate based on the committee and the board's recommendations at that point. So if there is a motion, it would be for $176,965. So I'd entertain that from the floor. Ms. Foster?
Second.
And Mr. Hunter?
And in seconding this motion, we're not a rubber stamp for all the different requests that come in. We vet, we interview, we amend, we articulate what we think needs to be done. We require, in many instances, requests, and of course you know about Fortitude. We said, okay, contingent upon a day program, but this is, as the chairman has indicated, we want to review the results, and there's going to be a post-event review of what transpired at KCC. Week, was it the first, when was that?
I think it would be a week, Saturday.
Yeah, because I had a Taiwan haggler thing that day. We're going to see what happened, what can be done in terms of marketing the program a lot better. We maintained that there should have been substantial amount of attendees, and we want the best results for our dollars that we invest in these kind of initiatives.
Is there any other comments, questions? If you would like, you know, any thoughts on this, I guess? It's in your packet, the evaluation form, what the program is. Would you want to hear what they're talking about doing? Mr. Snipes is here. He's chairman of their board. He could explain it. Oh, by the way, he can't vote. We did talk, and I figured you would mention that at some point. He wouldn't have voted on this because being chairman of their board, he has a fiduciary responsibility, but he can't answer questions about the programming. Anybody have anything? All right, well, I guess it would be a roll call vote then.
For 165 roll call vote?
Yeah, I'm sorry, let's do a voice vote because then we're gonna do one roll call for everything. Thanks, Dan. Motion to, we had approve already on that? All right, all those in favor say aye.
So that we can have.
Aye. Sir, we're gonna combine them all into one roll call for everything? If you would like a roll call just for this, I'd be happy to do it.
Well, the roll call, just so I can identify that I'm staying.
But we did that. Roll call just on 165 per request.
Mrs. Polk.
Aye.
Mr. Snipes.
Abstain.
Mr. Seroy.
Aye.
Mrs. Weber.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker. Mr. Fairfield.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff.
Aye.
Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Donnell. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Andrade.
Aye.
Ms. Armour Earps. Mr. Ashcraft. Ms. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon.
Aye.
Ms. Turner. Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Mr. McCarty, did you have something? I'm sorry, I saw you come in here. Was there something related to the discussion? I saw you walk back in. I just wanted to make sure you didn't.
I was see if there's any questions.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks. Just want to make sure. All right, moving on. Motion carried on that. I need a motion and a second to combine and approve 163 and 164. We'll go with Mr. Swanson and second with Ms. Andrade. Roll call vote, please.
Mrs. Polk.
Aye.
Mr. Snipes.
I am voting aye for 164. I am abstaining from 165.
This is 163 and 164.
163 and 164, the
Okay, you
two.
just said 164, that's why.
364.
Okay,
Your vote, Mr. Snipes.
then it'll be aye.
Mr. Seroy.
Aye.
Mrs. Weber.
Aye.
Mrs. Parker. Mr. Fairfield.
Aye.
Mr. Carrico.
Aye.
Mr. Eckhoff. Mr. Swanson.
Aye.
Mr. Featherling.
Aye.
Mr. Donnell. Mr. Miller.
Aye.
Mr. Long.
Aye.
Mr. Kirkstra.
Aye.
Mr. Hunter.
Aye.
Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Hildebrand.
Aye.
Ms. Foster.
Aye.
Ms. Andrade.
Aye.
Ms. Armour Earps.
Aye.
Mr. Ashcraft.
Aye.
Ms. Monday.
Aye.
Mr. Scanlon. Ms. Turner.
Aye.
Mr. Wheeler.
Aye. Motion carries. Openings. Got a few.
One opening on the McGillivray Special Drainage District, one opening on the Kankakee River Valley Forest Preserve District Board, one opening on the Cabery Area Fire Protection District, one opening on the Essex Township Fire Protection District, one opening on the St. Anne Fire Protection District, 3 openings on the Kankakee County Board of Health for members at large, 5 openings on the Kankakee County Ethics Commission.
Alrighty. Moving on to new business, I think Mr. Eckhoff had something that he's been talking about. Let me get you here.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I received communication from a couple of people in my district about juror fees. So for compensation of when you go ahead and go to a jury. I know myself, Chairman Wheeler, Anita, and Chief Judge Cunnington have had conversations about this. So I just wanted to let the full board know that tomorrow there will be some discussion on it, and I believe it's going to go to executive for executive committee to make a decision. So I just wanted to let the whole board know about discussions that were happening behind the scenes. Thank you.
Sure. Oh, what was the current rate? I mean, it was ridiculously low.
$5 a day and 10 cents a mile.
Right. And
So like this individual received a $7.50 check for 1 day, and that didn't even go ahead and cover for gas to go ahead and go to jury duty, and she went ahead and bought lunch. She's on a fixed income, so I wanted to let the rest of the board know the situation.
well, the mileage alone's offensive, but the
Yeah.
daily rate. It cost us exponentially more to even print those checks and account for them. You know that from that side of the business, the HR side. There's got to be a better solution. We'll figure it out. Thank you for that. Is there any other new business, Mr. Hunter?
I don't mean to blindside you, Mr. Chairman, but could you, for the balance of the board members, speak to the results of the session? A little pork, not lean cuisine, that we received or going to receive from Senator Joyce, Representative Haas, Senator Sims, Representative Smith.
Oh, the
Especially
courthouse?
the one,
The 6 million?
yeah.
Yeah, in the governor's budget, they included 6 million for a courthouse addition, if you will, to address some of the long-term needs that we have in terms of space. We have been talking about a satellite court in proximity to the current courthouse to relieve the stress. Those that were on the board or paying attention back in the day, we had a consultant come in here and take a whole bunch of money to tell us we needed a $190 million courthouse addition. And that was right when we were laying off sheriff's deputies and state's attorneys and everything. And so that lasted about 4 seconds under consideration. We found a way to maybe get this done much cheaper. We've been doing it a lot cheaper. We've been addressing the ADA issues over time. You've seen some of that. There'll be one more step in the courthouse, but that 6 million doesn't go as far as it used to. Like a year ago, it doesn't go as far as it used to a year ago. So as we'll learn with our animal control discussions coming up. So we're in the business of looking for economical solutions to long-term problems we have here in the county. One of them is a space in the courthouse and the Supreme Court standards associated with that. And we also have an obligation to try to get people out of the system before they become frequent flyers. That's where I keep telling people, that's why if you live in Bourbonnais, you should care about what happens in a town that has more crime going on in it, because your taxes pay for that criminal justice system. If you live in Manteno, it's the same thought process. The only way to address taxation is to go to the root cause, and that's by keeping people out of the most expensive part of county services, which is jail. You don't notice it because we have somebody who's figured out a way to help us cover those costs, sitting in the back of the room. But if we didn't have that, we would have a whole different looking county, because all of our revenue would go towards maintaining a jail with 260 of our own people, right, roughly, right now, maybe 220, I don't know, it fluctuates. 220, yeah, because we were up about 260, 270 from years ago. So, but we're gonna start those discussions and what that looks like. You know, we've already been looking at some of those facilities. They're around 17 million these days, so it has to shift your focus a little bit, but it's better to have it and know what you can deal with than not. So that's the 6 million. I haven't really heard of much else as far as coming our direction, but that doesn't mean there isn't. So, but that's it's a win for the senator. We'll hear more on the river stuff coming up this next month. I got to tell you, pay attention. There's a lot of cool stuff happening on the board level at the meetings. Just all kinds of things that we've been working on are going to be starting to move forward. The engineering plans on dredging have been refined. We're inviting some of our legislators down here to take a look at what we're doing and how this plays out on a regional basis. And we have lists of equipment that we're gonna stock our highway department with that are river related. That's been submitted to the state. So we're gonna go through everything. It'll be an interesting meeting. A lot of other stuff too, though. And then we'll tee up what's going to happen, as I mentioned, for the finance committee meetings in November. We'll start our budget process, and that has to start here in the next month or two as well. So a lot going on. Good stuff, though. I don't see many challenges, if you will, except for inflation, which is kneecapping everybody in their personal life. It's hurting us too. you know, so.
Supplies.
Yep. Any other new business? Nothing? All right. Old business. Mr. Snipes.
I have two
Be lucky.
comments on the old business. The first one is I received plenty of calls when we were referring or individuals being referred to the requisite sites that deals with rental reimbursement. One being New Vision, the other Morning Star. And then there's a 51,000 food distribution that was also approved by this board, I believe, a couple of months ago. So I'm getting calls back to me because one of these sites are in my district that monies have not been distributed. And so when I send them back to the source, either I believe the NAACP or this county, I told them to call the county chairman of, as far as that's concerned. Don't know if they had a lot of conversation. They said they had inquired as to the dollar amount not being distributed. So as of this date, or as of yesterday, no one has received the $7,500 nor the $51,000. And then Morning Star, I have not received a response back as of yet concerning the $7,500 in rental assistance. Please know that there is a great need in our county, and if we're distributing this money under the ARPA funding to the respective agencies that the monies are being held by to distribute to these individuals that we approved, we need a date as to when this money is going to arrive at these facilities so that they can help the community. That's my first question, or my first comment. My second is referring back to the county board resolution that was passed by this county board, the approval of county board district compensations and submittal of paper maps for consideration. So more specifically, where it has to now be it further resolved by the County Board of Kankakee, Illinois, that the compensation for board members of $75 per diem for meetings attended and a $10,000 life insurance policy is hereby approved, confirmed, and ratified. The second says, now be it further resolved by the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, that the compensation for the chairman of the board shall be an annual salary of $60,000 is hereby approved and confirmed and ratified. And the last statement says, now be it further resolved by the Kankakee County Board or the County Board of Kankakee County, Illinois, that the compensation for the liquor commissioner shall be an annual $3,500 is hereby approved and confirmed. And then it says, now be it further resolved by the County Board of Kankakee County that the county shall make paper maps available, and it goes on through as that, but we want to zero in on the compensations. There should be no one on the county board receiving anything that is not in this, now be it further resolved. That means health insurance, unless a county board member is getting it, or it's stated in the resolution that a person receives health insurance, or for that matter, IMRF being paid, is not in the packet. So I'm going to assume that when we did the compensation for the chairman of the board, not looking further, that his insurance and things are being paid in out of this $60,000 that we approved, because you have not stated it in this resolution. Otherwise, we need to amend the resolution to read as it is now currently being done, if it's being done that way. If it's just being that the person gets the $60,000 and that's it, that's fine, but there is no health compensation, there's no IMRF attached. And so therefore, since the county board places this in motion, it is what we have to follow. So because according to Article 7, Section 9B of the Illinois Constitution, you cannot increase or decrease the compensation while of an individual on the county board or the chairman during their term of office. So if we don't have it in there and it's being done, it definitely needs to be corrected. If it's not, then there's no need for the correction because you're following what the resolution is. Again, those are my 2 comments.
Is there any other old business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hold on. Mr. Miller?
I want to share something. I noticed in the news the other day that the Kankakee Daily Journal received some awards for their reporting, and I wanted to recognize the Daily Journal for that. And I also noticed that one of the recipients is here in the room, Chris Breach. So thank you for your reporting on this body's goings-on, sometimes mundane, sometimes exciting, but congratulations on your awards.
All those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.